Good evening. I am Myra Gooden, the president of FLAIR, the First Ladies Association for Research and Education. The mission of FLAIR is to create and sustain a network to promote and publicize research and education relevant to the contributions, lives, impacts, and lasting legacies of U.S. First Ladies. We have a special program for you this evening. A tour of the National First Ladies Library and Museum with Director of Collections and Research, Michelle Gullion. This very special program will offer viewers a special behind-the-scenes tour of some of the fascinating First Lady items in the collections of the National First Ladies Library and Museum. At this moment, I'd like to introduce Patty Dowd-Schmitz, CEO and President of the National First Ladies Library and Museum in Canton, Ohio, and she will go ahead and introduce tonight's wonderful program. Patty?
Good evening. I'm Patty Dowd-Schmitz. As Myra said, I'm the President and CEO of the National First Ladies Library and Museum. And I'd first like to say thank you so much to Myra and to Diana and all the folks at FLAIR who have helped make this program possible. We are so excited to be here tonight to share with you some of the wonderful items that we have on display at the National First Ladies Library and Museum, which is in Canton, Ohio. We are about 25 years old. We were founded 25 years ago by Mary Regula, and her goal was to have one place where all of the things about the First Ladies could reside. So we have currently a library of over 1,000 books and research materials, and we also have a collection of over 5,000 artifacts related to the First Ladies. So with me here tonight is our Director of Education, Stephanie Bonnick, who helps us educate those about the First Ladies and provides a lot of context around their legacies. And then we have Michelle Gullion, our Director of Collections and Research, who is our archivist, and she is going to be presenting to you some of the most fantastic items that we have in our collection that you won't get to see anywhere else. And this is a great way to do it. So what we did was we compiled a great video for you so that Michelle could show these things to you in detail, and we could get a little more detailed by pre-recording the video. So we're going to go ahead and show that now. And then afterwards, we'll have Michelle come back on and she will do some questions and answers. But I wanted to again say thank you to FLAIR for the opportunity to talk to you tonight and to show you some of the things we have. And we really all appreciate all this good work that's being done for our wonderful First Ladies. So with that, we'll get the video rolling and I hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Michelle Gullion, the Director of Collections and Research here at the National First Ladies Library. And right now I am in the Ida Saxton McKinley's ancestral home. It was originally built in the 1840s, and then different segments were added on. We're standing right now on the third floor that was added in the 1870s. Ida McKinley and William McKinley lived up here on the third floor, and this is where his office is located also. Today, I wanted to show you these three pieces of Ida's jewelry. First of all, this is one of her diamond rings. We're not sure if it was her engagement ring. We don't really know, but it was in the family until they brought it to us. It's got a over 3-carat gold diamond ring in the front there, and then there are 4 small diamonds on each side of it. The total weight is almost 4 carats that way, but this large ring is cut in what's called an old European cut, and you can see the beautiful, beautiful colors inside that diamond. No matter how low the light is, that still throws beautiful light. This is Ida McKinley's flag brooch. This was also in the family and came to us. I've never seen a picture of her wearing this, but it's also encrusted with diamonds, of course, sapphires, and rubies. There are 95 red rubies and 84 diamonds that make up the stripes. There are 65 sapphires that make up the blue rectangle, and there are 13 diamond stars inside the sapphire block. And this final piece is from her 44th birthday. It was a gift to her from William McKinley. He purchased it from the Duberg Watch Company, which is here in Canton, Ohio. And it says on it, to Ida McKinley from her husband, June 8th, 1891. There was also a picture of Katie, their daughter Katie, who died when she was 3.5. And it was on this side here that it flaked and had fallen out. So we put it together and we made a little reproduction so you could see what the photo looked like inside. I hope you've enjoyed seeing these beautiful pieces of Ida McKinley's here in the Saxton McKinley house. Next, we're going to go over to the Ed Center, and we're going to look at several other pieces of First Ladies' clothing, jewelry, those types of things over there. Well, welcome. Now we are here and at the Education Center here at the First Ladies National Historic Site. I'm going to be talking about all these items here. This dress we're going to save for the very last, though. I thought what we'd do is I'd show you we'd start with the earlier First Ladies and work our way to some more modern First Ladies. These are some of the oldest items in our collection. These are slippers that once belonged to Louisa Catherine Adams. They're one of those types of slippers you don't really know which is the right or left. They're in extremely poor condition. You can get an idea of how big her feet were. This is also in front of us here is one of her calling card cases. This case has her initials right here at the top, LCA for Louisa Catherine Adams, and it's embedded with mother of pearl and tortoise shell. Along the sides it has mother of pearl. The top opens and you would put your card inside there. We like to use this piece when we talk about the importance of First Ladies making calls to Washington society and how important that was for the political and for their husbands. This lovely bonnet belonged to Frances Cleveland. It actually has a matching black velvet dress that goes with it that's very, very heavy and just as exquisite as this is, though. It's black velvet, and what this beading is, it's called carnival beads. And this is what's also on the dress. And as you can see, it's just loaded with all kinds of beautiful beads on it. What's interesting, too, this is called a Mary Stuart sweetheart-like opening to the bonnet itself. And it snaps with a snap down at the bottom on your chin. Next, we have these fabulous Mary Jane shoes that once belonged to Florence Harding. We have a picture of her wearing these as she greets people to the White House. These have a kitten heel, and they're very, very, they look very comfortable even today. I wish they would bring this style back because they're just gorgeous. It also gives you an idea of the size of her feet. She probably wore an 8 or so. These are a pair of Florence's. They're clip-on glasses that she liked to wear. This pair has are attached with a long gold chain and this hair pin type piece that you could have put into your hair or your hat to hold on to. She is most often seen photographed with these type of glasses. The shoes and the glasses all date to 1920 to 1924. This lovely little hat, very simple hat, once belonged to Nancy Reagan. She wore this when she was First Lady of California, so in the 1970s. This dates back to then. This was made by Aldolfo, one of her favorite fashion designers. This is made of corduroy. She donated it to the National First Ladies Library when it first opened in 2003. And lastly, here on this table, we have one of her handbags. This dates to around the same time. It was made by Yves Saint Laurent. That's also one of her favorite designers. And it has this nice design of shells to decorate the front of it. This handbag was donated to us last year. We did an exhibit on with the Reagan Library, the Reagan Foundation, and the Reagan Ranch. We all got together to celebrate Nancy Reagan's centennial year in 2021. And a couple who came down to see that exhibit had purchased this handbag, as well as some others, from the Reagan estate, and they donated it to us. And last but not least, we have this beautiful, beautiful gown that once belonged to Edith Roosevelt. It is made of navy blue silk with a stripe in the navy, and then this beautiful cut pattern of flowers that is almost Art Nouveau looking in design. The beautiful gem-colored green that outlines the ruffles on this dress are so striking, as well as the velvet neck piece that matches the velvet cummerbund at the bottom of the bodice. And next, there's this silk jabot that is lined with lace that really sets off the piece. Last but not least that I wanted to point out about the dress is this little pin that you see here at the top, the base of the neck. That is a side portrait of Theodore Roosevelt. This pin matches exactly a bas-relief that's, I think, located at Sagamore Hills. And evidently they made little pins of these as commemorations. This beautiful dress, I mentioned that it was kind of an Art Nouveau design. That tells you it's around 1900 to 1905. This would have been a White House dress that she would have worn. It was more of a day dress. The other thing I can tell you about this really neat dress is if you ever go to Disney World and you go to the Hall of Presidents, you might see this exact dress. It's an exact replica down in Disney World. In 2009, Disney World called us. They were redoing the Hall of Presidents, and they were adding on a small section for First Ladies. They asked us for pictures of our dresses that we had on Edith Roosevelt, and they chose this dress. This was shipped down to Disney World, and their Imagineers and their conservators looked it all over very carefully and made an exact replica of it. So if you're ever down there, you might see this same dress down there in Florida. Now I'm going to show you a place that most people don't get to see. We'd like to show you a behind-the-scenes look at how we prepare things here at the National First Ladies Library and Museum. This is the textile room that I'm standing in right now, and this is where we put on all the dresses, all the hats, anything that's textile. This is where we prepare them. We look at them, we do condition notes here, and we work very intently on preparing things for exhibit. So today, I thought I would show you how we really use these dresses to help tell stories. These two bodices were once worn by Caroline Harrison, and she was First Lady from 1888 until 1892. She was married to Benjamin Harrison, and they lived in Indianapolis. And if you ever go there to Indianapolis, don't miss their home there. It's beautiful. This first one that I'm showing you here, standing here, this is a purple paisley with gold. It's absolutely stunning. It is not in great shape. As you can see here, it's torn right here, where probably someone was trying to put it on and they were too big for it, and so it's ripped the fabric there. This is Caroline Harrison at her healthy weight. This is how she looked, and that's how most of her portraits look, as a very healthy looking woman. So you can see here that you see she has the typical silhouette bust here. She's an older woman, so even though she has a corseted waist, it's not as tiny as some of the corsets that you see on younger women because she's had children and she's older. What you're seeing over here is Caroline Harrison's bodice that was never finished. We know this because it's very odd looking. You see this tie here. This almost looks like, it almost looks gesture-like or something. It's not finished at all, although it's gorgeous. And another reason why this is so beautiful looking, it was never worn. Caroline Harrison died in 1892 from tuberculosis. And so this is a wonderful teaching tool that talks about not only the First Lady, but she dies in the White House of tuberculosis. This gown on the inside, it's written on the inside that it was made for Mrs. Harrison, but she died before she could wear it. And then it gives you who donated it to this person that owned it at one point. Mary McKee, her daughter, donated it in 1920. As you can see on the outside, because it was never worn, it's the silk, the maroon silk is actually in excellent condition. The cotton fabric here is not so much. It's got a few holes in it, that type of thing. What I wanted to show you here is if I lift up these part of the lapel, I wanted you to notice how tiny her waist is. Tuberculosis has emaciated her, and her waist is quite tiny. I had to take out all kinds of stuffing out of this mannequin in order to get it to close. This bodice hasn't been on display very often, but it is a unique piece. We've only had it on display once when we were talking about the health of First Ladies and using that to expand on the health of women. And we talked about, we really talked about so many First Ladies who passed away from tuberculosis. Letitia Tyler, Jane Pierce, and there's several others. The most recent First Lady was Eleanor Roosevelt. That's one of the ways we talk about the health of not only First Ladies, but about women's health. What I'm showing you here is a bodice of Ida McKinley's that we don't put on display. I always like to make the case for the type of work that I do for people to understand how fragile clothing is. And even under the best circumstances, you have to be very careful with it. This is a bodice of Ida's. We don't even have the skirt to it, but it is it's exquisite. You can tell it once was exquisite. If I pull up the tulle neckline here, you can see how beautiful this bodice once was. Look at this beautiful beading, and it's missing pieces of beading on it. You can also see that it's missing buttons, but this isn't even the worst part of it. It's made of silk, and this tulle is in very poor condition. It's amazing that it's even in as good a condition as it is. You can see here where the silk has split at the very top. This is where your gravity comes into play when it's on a mannequin or even worn. It pulls at the top of the sleeve, and this is showing you the splits really bad at the top of the sleeves. There's also a split in this arm right here, just a torn piece. But you can also see the beautiful inside of it. This shows you the inside of a corset. You can see the boning that's put in. That was part of the look to make your waist look very tiny. But it's in very poor condition. This has never been on display. And maybe someday we could have it conserved, or we could have a reproduction made of it based off of these beautiful, beautiful buttons and beadwork, but it is just too fragile to put on display. So that's one of the things that we always are looking at. We're looking at the condition. How can we display it? Can we? This is what happens to clothing. This clothing is, of course, over 100 years old. So it's wonderful to see it. It's lovely to view it, but you can't put it on display. This is one of the perks and privileges as an archivist, curator, that I get to look at. But these are the hard decisions you have to make about displaying things when you put them on display. Is what is the condition, and will it survive the short time that it'll be on exhibit? The other thing I thought I would show you is these are the gloves that I've been wearing to show you all of these exhibit or pieces that I've shown you today. Can you see how dirty they are? That's because the clothing is dirty, and it also it protects my hands, and it also protects the clothing. It's one more layer of me not touching this, even though it's exposed to the four worst things that can happen to clothing. It's being exposed to air and pollution. It's being exposed to temperature. It's being exposed to light, and it's being exposed to relative humidity. So all those things work really, really hard against a beautiful piece of clothing. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little taste of what's here at the National First Ladies Library and Museum. And we hope you'll come and visit us very soon here in Canton, Ohio, to see things like this that you've seen on display here, as well as other things that are on display right now and that always change here. So thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was wonderful. I am just so impressed with your collection and the care that you give it. And you know so much about each item and its provenance. And I'm so glad that our country has you as the custodian of all of these items. I did laugh when I saw the one mannequin with the very small waist. It reminded me of comments about Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. At any rate, we certainly welcome questions from any of our viewers. I'm going to actually ask a question to begin, Michelle, if you'd be kind enough to enlighten us. How is it that some of the artifacts come to the museum, the library and museum?
That's an excellent question. And that's almost like a whole segment of it in and of itself is provenance, which is very fascinating. You know, we have things given to us, we have things that we purchase, and we have things that are on long-term loan. Several things of Ida's, especially her family, still live in the Canton area. And so they don't necessarily want to give them to us yet, but they want them to be on display. So it's one of those things, it's complicated. A lot of the older pieces that you see that I showed you, that I talked about, such as Luisa's items, up through Edith Roosevelt's items, even the Caroline Harrison clothing. Those things have a fascinating provenance that we have tried really hard to do research on, how far we can go back to find it. So I can't for sure say, oh, this is 100% sure. We know that this is their piece, because of the shady breaks in provenance type things that go on with the clothing, especially.
I remember reading about Jacqueline Kennedy acquiring furniture for the refurbishment of the White House, and I think a number of the things that she said um, really are the same things that you've just shown. Sometimes she would come up with a piece for the White House that she wanted very much, and she would try to persuade the descendants of the presidents or the owners to donate them. And sometimes they did, and other times they didn't. And frequently, the White House has had to wait for materials to be donated. Well, we have a few questions, so I'd like to share the first one, and that is one of our viewers asked, what are your plans for future acquisitions and exhibits?
Oh my goodness. We're always looking. I look at a lot of uh, auctions. We like get word of mouth. We're always looking because my goodness, we're covering from Martha Washington up through Jill Biden now. So it's never ending. We're always looking for new artifacts. I might also say that we really look for artifacts. We tell the whole story of the First Lady from the time that she's born through the time of her death. So we love any kind of artifact that helps us tell that story. We have some things that are some books that Lucretia Garfield, when she was Lucretia Rudolph, owned, and we love to have that because that talks about how she went to school and that what she learned at school, that type of thing. So there's lots of fun things like that. It's never ending.
Can you give us maybe just a hint of maybe an exhibit that we might see at the Library and Museum in the next year?
Okay, well, sure. Right now, up through April, we have an exhibit on Jackie Kennedy. It's called Beyond Camelot: The Life and Legacy of Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis. And that is really just talking about, it's really zoning in on Jackie Kennedy Onassis's entire life. Mm-hmm. And then after that, come May, we're going to open a new exhibit, Aspire to Go Higher, or we're still working. I think that's not the right that's not the right title. We keep messing with it, but it's going to be on First Ladies in Education, where we talk about how First Ladies who either taught education or have made it their cause, really zoning in on the importance of education and how important that is to our country, our children, and how everyone from the early teachers like Abigail Fillmore to Lucretia Garfield, the ones who's taught in one-room schoolhouses, and yet when they married, they had to give up their career, all the way through those who had made education their cause as a first lady, such as Lady Bird Johnson with Head Start, Michelle Obama with Let's Move, Melania Trump with Be Best, to up through Jill Biden, who's keeping her career while she's first lady. It's so fun.
I'm looking forward to that one already. We have another question from a viewer who said, by the way, insightful video and tour, and wants to know how long will the textiles last in the museum's care? And how do you know when to no longer display the clothes?
Oh, excellent question. You can have them conserved, and that helps give them some more lifetime, some more life, if they're in good enough condition. You are always looking at the fabric, especially for older fabrics, the way they were made, the dyes that were used, what type of fabric was it? Is it cotton? Is it silk? You're always looking at those types of things, and then what it's like right now, and will it survive another 6 to 8 months or so of exposure. So it's so hard. I can't explain how hard it is to decide to put something on display, because you want people to see this beautiful gown. Sometimes what we do is we'll decide that I'm thinking of a Frances Cleveland gown where the front of it was very it's very light damaged. The front of it is very faded, that type of thing. But if you turn it around, the back of she's got this huge bustle on it and this beautiful fabric. So we turned it to the back so that you can see this gorgeous bustle, and you don't really notice so much that. And it also helped kind of keep it from getting so damaged from exposure to, like I said, light, heat, all that type of thing.
I have one more question, and actually it's from me, and I'm I'm curious, in your view, if you had to pick out 3 artifacts that are your favorite, possibly the most representative of the library and museum, those that you just look at and they're just so special, what would those be?
Well, I would say letters. I absolutely love letters. They're not as showy as actual, pieces, but when my absolute favorite artifact is a letter from Lucretia Garfield that she wrote in 1882 after the assassination of President Garfield. She wrote to the head of the congressional committee that was paying the physicians that had taken care of Garfield, and I think there was quite a few. There were like, I think 9, 10 of them, and they were being paid on different tiers depending on, I think, their expertise, their reputation. But there was one doctor who was a woman, and her name was Dr. Susan Edson, and you can even see pictures of her in the prints that were done at the time. And she's often called a nurse instead of a doctor. You rarely see her referenced as a doctor at all. And when Lucretia writes this letter to the head of the committee, that she sees in the newspaper, that it comes out that here's the tiers and here's how much each doctor is going to be paid. And in the very bottom tier is Dr. Susan Edson with, I believe, 2 other doctors. And the 2 male doctors are going to be paid $10,000, and Dr. Susan Edson is going to be paid $5,000. So Mrs. Garfield writes this letter saying that she actually uses this is a discrimination against Dr. Susan Edson. And she did just as much work, if not, she believed, in her opinion, more work and more hands-on care of President Garfield than any of the others. And then if you look at the newspapers, if you see when that's written and you can find that at the very end, Dr. Susan Edson is paid the same amount as the other physicians are in that tier.
Wonderful, wonderful materials, open for people to view, for researchers to look at and contribute to all of the background and materials that we have on First Ladies. You are doing such a wonderful job, and thank you so much. And
Oh.
thank you for this wonderful tour through the museum, library and museum's holdings.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you to
Sure.
Flair. All of you worked so hard. So I'm so excited and happy to be a part of this.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. So let me thank both Michelle Gullion and Patty Dowd-Schmitz of the National First Ladies Library and Museum for giving us this bird's eye view into the collections. For Flair, we will be having other social hours and programs this year. We thank you all for watching. If for some reason we hope that you know people who might like to join Flair, please have them go to our website, flair-net.org. Wishing everyone a good evening and an early happy Thanksgiving. Again, Michelle, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Good night.